So I just thought I'll give a bit of an update of where I'm at with my shoulder. You might have seen that I've put on my Instagram a few weeks ago that I was going to be having a follow-up appointment with my shoulder just to see where things are at and what the potential next steps might be. So just to recap for those of you who might not have followed along, so far within the last year I've had 2 shoulder operations which were keyhole operations to try and help to sort of rectify what's been going on with my shoulder. For those of you who don't know, I have arthritis in my shoulder and not a lot of cartilage either, and I've got quite a big bone growth what goes from around here all the way down. So yeah, I've been plagued for a little while, not been able to train the way I would have liked to have trained for probably the past 2.5–3 years, and even when I competed in 2022, even though I placed second, which was my best ever placing in the pro ranks, my shoulder still wasn't quite right. So that's sort of what's been happening in the past year with operations, and because things still haven't been quite right, my previous surgeon, Ali Narani, said it's best to get it further investigated and see if there could be another procedure which could be open surgery to help get me to where I need to be in terms of range of movement, function, and actually taking a step forward to get me back on stage competed. So he referred me to one of his colleagues who actually helped train him up in the orthopedic surgery, and I went to see him on initially the 19th of September at Spire Liverpool Hospital. We had a really good chat there. He was actually blown away by the fact that I've been able to maintain the size what I've maintained, considering how bad my range of movement was within my shoulder. So for anyone who sort of knows me and has followed along, I'm a very determined individual. Although I haven't been able to train the way I would like to train, I still approach every day with the same discipline, mindset, and how can I say it, intent to be the best athlete I can be. And despite not having the range of movement I would like in my shoulder, I still know that there's areas what I can still work on to still be the best version of me during this period of time. So he had a look at all the different images, what he had been sent over before from my previous surgeries where I had the keyhole operations. We also had an x-ray take place while I was there. The x-ray came back and he looked at it and he said, what I'm seeing from the x-ray, it might not actually be as bad as we first thought from previous x-rays which was been shown. So I couldn't take what he's saying as gospel, and he said, don't quote me on this, but he said, from what I'm looking at, although you do need a open surgery, you actually look like you got more cartilage than what we originally thought. And that was a massive plus, just hearing that, because he was showing me the images, the x-ray, and that left me with a lot of confidence. He said potentially what might need to happen is I need open surgery, and he said looking at what's actually happening with the shoulder, where the bone growth is, potentially just we need to open your shoulder up, cut that bone growth out, and actually just then restitch your shoulder back together, because he said as far as he could see, because there is cartilage there, it doesn't look like I need any further surgery. And the further surgery, what we've spoken about before, was potentially a partial shoulder replacement. So this is what I've had in my head for the longest time, what needs to sort of take place for me to get back and be able to function moving forwards. And the conversation I had with my previous surgeon, Ali Durrani, he doesn't do that operation, which is why he forwarded me on to Matthew Smith, who is one of the leading surgeons in the UK and trains a lot of different orthopedic surgeons. And I knew I would have been in good hands. So that was the appointment I had then. Left there, my appointment should have been about half an hour. I was probably in there about an hour and a half. He was really thorough, went through loads of different tests to see what my range of movement is, explained things in a lot of depth, really took his time, and I really valued his opinion. But he said what he was going to do is go to his team meeting, which will be on Zoom, speak with all the different leading orthopedic surgeons, people who look at x-rays, people who look at MRIs, to go through all of my images and my case to discuss what could potentially be done for the next step. So that was the meeting what I had on the 19th of September. He said that the meeting, what he's going to have with these other sort of leading people within the orthopedic surgeon team, would not take place for a couple of weeks. So I was then booked in to see him again the 22nd of October. So about a month in between, and I kid you not, that month felt like the longest time I was waiting, but I still had a date in mind. And because I had a date in mind, it was enough to sort of keep me functioning. I had been dieting, so I had dieted down anyway. I actually went away to Hungary because Kerry was competing in Budapest. While I was out in Budapest, I actually had a Thai massage. Never had one before. Had one, and I actually felt like I got a little bit more range of movement in my shoulder after having that. And I remember sending over checking pictures to my coach, Cuba, and he was like, wow, you look like you opened up a little bit more. But I think it's a combination of the Thai massage and also having more range of movement because I had dieted down as well. So sort of fast forwarding, Cuba said, you know what, I think you could probably still compete, just based on what I'm seeing there, because you've got a lot more range of movement in certain poses, such as like my rear double bicep, and also my lat spreads as well. I was like, yeah, I can kind of see what you're saying, but in my mind, that still wasn't what I wanted to do because I wanted more. I remember I put a post on Instagram and a few people like James Hollins said, he even commented like, just compete, get a qualification for Olympia, and then get the shoulder fixed afterwards. And I was seeing all these comments, but it still didn't register to me like that's what I wanted to do. So when I went to see Matthew Smith again on the 22nd of October, I literally got back from Hungary with Kerry around 1 a.m. in the morning, prepped my food with her help, went to sleep about 2:15. Then the next day, me and my mum was on the train going to Liverpool at 7 o'clock in the morning for my afternoon appointment. When I got there, Matthew Smith spoke to me and he went through all the different scenarios and the conversations what he had with the team around my case. And I was not prepared for what he had to say that day. He had said that due to my size, open surgery was not an option. There is too great a risk to actually do an operation for me. And the two scenarios would be if I was opened up and had even the bone removed, there's too much risk that one will either hit the axillary nerve and then I'll have no feeling at all in my shoulder and arm, or two will actually hit the axillary nerve and I would pretty much hemorrhage and bleed to death. And because of my size, it's not straightforward to be able to get to the area what needs to be sort of approached or gotten to even do any sort of procedure. So that came as a big shock. So I asked him, what's next? What can be done? He said, realistically, he said, nothing can be done while you're this size. If you was to lose potentially like 30 to 40 kilos, then the opportunity to actually have open surgery can be looked at. But he said with that, if you were to go down that route, to then build up the muscle, if I needed a partial replacement, if removing the bone wasn't enough, the bone growth, if that wasn't enough and I needed a partial replacement, it's like you just wouldn't be able to put through, load through the shoulder or build back close to the size what you're at. So I'm sitting there, taking this all in, trying to process it, trying to understand. So I basically said to him, so what do I do? Because this was never an option. I always thought that because keyhole didn't work, open surgery was going to be the next step for me to get back to where I am. So he said, honestly, If it was me, given your age, I would not have surgery at all on your shoulder. If you're in pain, then what I would advise is having, I believe he said, like a nerve block, which will help with the pain. While I was there, I messaged my physio, Radu, who's been so supportive during this phase. And he said, look, it's not something I would recommend. We can manage the inflammation and pain through different treatments, what he has. Let's not go down that route. So I relayed that message to him and he said, that's absolutely fine. If you change your mind, then that option's there. So I'm sitting there pretty much being told to my face that your bodybuilding career is over because there's nothing we can do to help you. And in that moment, all I could think about is, other than feeling really numb, all I could think about is, I'm going to compete. And I'm going to compete whether I can pose to 100% in some of my poses what I struggle with. I've got to do it. And the reason why I've got to do it is because for the last 2 years, I've put everything into being the best athlete I could be. In 2022, when I competed, I came second. I was not at the level of conditioning what I would like, and partly that is through my own experience and through my own maybe sort of faults, how I maybe approached the off season with my food, with macro tracking, and maybe not having the clean sources. It was a detriment to me, so it was harder for me to get in shape. So I hold my hands up to that, and you live and you learn. But because I couldn't compete or pose properly still in 2022, I could compete in 2022, but I couldn't pose the way I wanted to pose still in some of my poses, I still placed second. So I'm thinking, sitting there, if I could place second, my condition wasn't as good as I know it could be, but I've also added more size. I've got to give myself a chance, an opportunity. So I showed the surgeon some of my poses from while I was away in Hungary. And it's like, you've got more range of movement now than you had when I seen you like five weeks ago. What have you done? I said, well, I've been dieting. Because I've been dieting, I've actually got a little bit more range of movement. So it's allowed me to actually get into the poses better. And he was like, I'm not an expert. I don't know bodybuilding, but if it was me, I would also give it a go. And if this was, I'll say 6 months ago, and he had told me that news, in that moment, I probably would have just started crying. And I won't deny that there's been many days and other times when I have actually had a cry because I never imagined that this was going to be the situation that I was in. And close friends and family know. I won't hide it, I won't deny it, but I've never put it out on social media. I've been quite reserved about it. And even sitting here now telling you in depth what I'm faced with now is quite a big thing because honestly, when I was saying in my posts and on social media, on my Trained by JP log that I've got an appointment coming up, I never thought I was going to get told that we can't do anything to help you. So now you've told me you can't do anything to help me. I'm like, how do I say that they can't help me? So I left that meeting, came outside, spoke to my mum, I literally said to my mum, there's nothing they can do. And I told her I'm okay. If anything, I just feel numb. And it takes me back to 2018 when I won my pro card. My granddad passed away. And when he passed away, I was during prep. And I remember at the time, coach and close friend said, are you going to continue with your prep? And I said, yes, I am. And the reason why I needed to continue with my prep, because I felt numb. I needed prep as a reason to sort of block out what was actually taking place. And it's the same with my shoulder. Once he told me that news, the immediate thing in my head was, I'm going to prep, and I'm going to prep because I need to block out what you've just told me. And then once I've had my competition, I'll see how I fare. Then I'll process what the potential next steps might be and actually process what my feelings are. I remember I messaged Kerry, told her the update of sort of what's happened. My physio was aware. I spoke to my training partner Carlton about it, and I messaged Cuba and told him, and he was like, "Are you free to have a call?" So I spoke to him on the phone. I explained everything what I've just explained here, and before he could say anything, I said to him, "I'm going to prep. We need to prep this year." So the conversation is what he's had before, and he said, "You look great in these poses, these poses." Bodybuilding's based on 8 poses. You've got your mandatory quarter turns, and then you've got your 8 mandatory poses. It's judged on 8 poses. And because it's judged on 8 poses, although some poses might not be hit the way I would like to be hit or executed, why not still give myself the opportunity? Why not still get on stage? Because I've been putting everything into this for the last couple of years. I've not had the opportunity. Why should I just stop based on the surgeon saying we can't do a surgery? So he said, "I'm glad you said this, because this is exactly what I was going to say." So I've already looked at shows. I know what shows are available. I've mentioned there's Prague available. I mentioned there's Big Man Weekend. We looked at dates. We spoke on the phone while I was sitting at the train station waiting to come back from Liverpool to Leicester. And I said to him, "These are the shows what's available. Which one shall we go for?" And he said, "We'll go for Big Man Weekend, 1st of December, in Spain, Alicante, the place where I did my pro debut in the IFBB Pro League. That's what we're going to go for." So that gave me 5 weeks exactly. I said to him, because I'd been dieting down anyway, and I was already in a good spot, but we started to reverse back up because this was never the intention, never on the radar. I said to him, "Whatever needs to be done will get done. If I needed to go 0 carbs, I'll go 0 carbs." I didn't, but the mindset I had, it's like a switch had literally been flipped, and it's like, I've got to do this. So I'm now officially 3 weeks out, just over 3 weeks out from competing in Alicante Big Man Weekend. After I had the news in Liverpool, I went quite a bit on social media, went very reserved, and this is how I had to process it and deal with it myself. I spoke to my sponsors, Corinne, Jordan. They've been so supportive, trained by JP. I think even over these last 2 years, I think there's probably sponsors who wouldn't have stood by their athletes, but they haven't done that. They've given me 110% support. And not that they're asking for it back, but I feel like I want to give something back to them, to tell them thank you for their help. Everything what Cuba's done to help me, support everyone else behind the scenes, it needs to be done. So I'm now officially just over, like I said, 3.5 weeks out. My focus is sky high. It's through the roof. It's on another level. There's a fine line now, because when I'm training and my training partner's training with me, I remember our first session back after this news, we trained legs together. He'll admit I buried him. He's in a calorie surplus, and I took that session so far because I can only explain that I feel like I was possessed. I was that, how can I say, fired up to take everything I had and leave it in that gym. And when we left the session, even during the session, he said, "I feel like I'm going to be sick." And it's not him on prep, but because what was going on in my mind about this whole scenario, I had to leave everything in the gym. And if you're training with me, which he was, you're going to have to do it too, because there's no passengers here. We're in this journey together. And we left the gym. He messaged me. He told me how he felt. I relayed to Cuba how the session went. And he said, "I understand what you're going through, but I'm going to have to watch you, because if you're not careful, you can run yourself into a hole." And I'll be honest, I felt that a few days afterwards, because I really pushed myself to the limit. So there's a lesson what I learned from that I still have to be mindful that I'm in a calorie deficit, and to dig myself too big a hole to get out of will be detrimental to my physique, and also for where I need to be moving forwards with this competition prep. Now, I'm a lot more sensible in my approach. And I won't deny that I'm not food focused at all. I'm not bothered about the food, but I would say that going through the prep now, I'm starting to have the moments where I'm feeling my legs feel a bit heavy. I'm doing the posing rounds, the energy's going. I'm going to the training sessions, getting to the gym, I'm tired, but when I get training, I'm giving everything in that training session. The same with the posing, the same hitting my step goals, and I'm not complaining. I tell you why I'm not complaining, because I've wanted this for the longest time. And now I have this opportunity to get on that stage, and it could be the last time. I don't want it to be. I have to enjoy this more than ever. Anyone who's on prep, it's a choice. No one's telling you to do it. No one's telling me to do this. This is what I want to do. So I'm not complaining. I know how I feel. I relay how I feel. If any adjustments need to be made, which Cuba has done to training volume, exercises where it needs to be, it will get done, because this is my opportunity to showcase still what I've worked on these past few years. And bodybuilding is a sport what's judged on your look, and it's a sport that where you over analyze. Even for myself, you're never quite happy with how you look. And although some of my poses might not be exactly how I want it to look, this is the best version of me. And because it's going to be the best version of me, I'm going to be happy with how I look, because I want to almost relay or portray the message that although we're striving for the perfect body, no one ever has the perfect body, because we always want more. And it's the same with me. And even if I wasn't going through this now, I would still probably step on stage. Oh, I wish I had a bit more hamstring, or I wish I had a bit more upper chest development. It's the same process now. So I am all in, working towards this show. And I'll be honest, I was going to go back to how my mindset was before Instagram, where I didn't document anything. When I won my pro card, probably about 10 people knew, if that I was going for my pro card. And why? Because I don't believe you need to make a lot of noise when you're trying to achieve something. You know what you need to work towards, and you just keep your head down and work towards it. But I think it's important that I explain to you guys what's been going on, because I've taken you through the journey, and for me to just go quiet now, I don't think it's the right thing to do. So I've opened up, I've been very raw and honest with this. The emotion, I feel it here, but I'm now working with my physio, Radu. I'm seeing him twice a week at the moment to help keep the inflammation down in my shoulder, and it's working very, very well. He lives an hour and a, well, not lives. His practice is an hour and a half away from where I live, so I drive a 3 hours round trip, and then I have a treatment what lasts about an hour and a half to 2 hours, with actually getting the inflammation down in my shoulder, keeping the shoulder happy, and it's taxing. I'll be honest. When I'm waking up, most days I'm waking up probably around 4:30ish, get my client work done, get my steps done. I'm currently at 12k, food prep, training, and then I'm driving to get these sessions done. I'm back and I'm tired. And you know what? Who cares if I'm tired? Because this is my opportunity to get on stage and show what I've worked towards. So I'm seeing this as, it's not, oh, I'm tired, poor me. I'm seeing it as someone's helping me to get back to the point where I need to be. So I'm grateful for the fact that I have a car, that I can drive there, I can have this treatment, and I can come back. I'm also grateful for my coach, who's very, very supportive. Messages me before I even message him. Sometimes he's messaged me. Communication has always been good, but it's even better than before. I realised I've not been the easiest athlete to coach because of having to change the plans. I've got a very supportive partner in Kerry, training partner. He's been an absolute blessing with helping me through this stage. Other close friends like Hader, and my family, of course, has played a massive part. And I don't really know how to end this, but all I know is that when I step on stage on the 1st of December, I'm leaving everything on that stage. And what will be, will be. If it's going to be my day, it will be. If it's not going to be my day, I would know that it's my day because I've taken my best to the stage for what I can do in this moment. And that is enough for me to give me conviction that I need to do this. And that is my driving force every single day because I know that I can still look better than how I did in 2022. And I will. Very confident of that. And I placed second at a pro show in 2022. So I can't control who turns up on the day. And I'll be totally honest, I'm not interested. All I'm interested in is having tunnel vision and working on myself. And in this sport, it's very easy to get sidetracked and look at others, but I'm not allowing that to be. I've got tunnel vision, fully focused on what I need to do, and that is for me to follow the plan what's been set out. I fully trust it. I've been through processes before when I've dieted down, even though I wasn't competing, and everything has worked out great. And I'm just looking forward to the opportunity to step on stage, display my best for this moment in time, and just enjoying every single minute. So this is me officially in prep, and I will take you through sort of what I'm going through in terms of the rehab sessions, training sessions, and I'm just going to leave everything out there because I've worked too hard to step away now. So even a t-shirt right now, the ability to progress at all costs, these are the sort of words what are embedded in my mind. And I'm not going to go religious on you all, but my upbringing is a Christian upbringing. And during this time, I've sort of reconnected, gone back to church. And I tell you now that that's helped me massively to stay focused and have more self-belief, because if it wasn't for that, like I said, even sitting here right now, I probably would have cried because that's what I would have done 6 months ago, because it's been a very hard time. And I don't portray that on social media because I don't want to portray it. I've got coaching clients and I never put my feelings onto my coaching clients because they pay for a service and I want to deliver the service. But behind closed doors, when that door's closed, I know how low I felt. And I'm not going to allow those feelings right now in this moment to overrule what I'm trying to achieve and what I'm trying to get to. So I'm all in. I'm going to stop talking, but I'm excited to get back on stage, on the Pro League stage, and do my very best. So thank you all for listening, taking the time for tuning in, and I will take you on this journey back to my next show in the next few weeks. I'm out.